Hey gang, this is Robert Saxton. My wife Susie Heumann and I have spent the better part of 20 years dreaming, scheming, and planning our dream green home. When our last kid went off to college, we finally had the space, time, and a little bit of money to get that done. I am happy to give you a tour and show you what we've done and what we've learned.
Awesome. Where do you want to start?
Let's start out in front.
Okay, here we go.
One of the simplest things you can do with the home in the northern part of the country is design it for a passive solar advantage. And that is if you have enough space on the south side of your house to get some solar gain. So what we did is we added lots of glazing, lots of windows on the south side, which give some passive heat in the cooler months when the sun is down low enough to get past that overhang. And it can warm a room up if you have some heat sinks like tile or brick or anything like that. It can warm a room up by 7, 8, 9 degrees in the middle of a cold January. So that adds quite a bit. We made sure they were triple pane windows. There's no excuse for double pane windows anywhere in the northern part of our country. In fact, the triple pane windows from St. Cloud were more affordable than the double pane windows from War Road. They have been really great. I have not looked back on that purchase. I really enjoy these. Another thing we did around the whole house was we put that zip sheeting on the outside, which a lot of you have probably seen on commercial buildings lately, sort of those green 4x8 sheets that go on the outside of the commercial buildings. Those are OSB with some either 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch of rigid styrofoam insulation on them. And when you put those on the outside of a house, and especially if you have 2x4 construction, stick frame construction, that helps prevent any thermal bridging from getting into the house. It creates a really nice tight envelope, which is exactly what you want in a comfortable home. Let's walk around to the solar panels.
Right.
We kind of swung for the fence with the project, which was helped out quite a bit by the Inflation Reduction Act, which reimbursed us 30% for our solar panel investment and 30% for our geothermal heating system, which made a big difference. For some people, that's going to be the difference between whether they put it in or not. For us, we were probably going to do it either way, but that helped out a lot, made the mortgage a bit smaller. So there are 4 geothermal wells, which you cannot see right about 10 or 15 feet from us under the grass here. And those geothermal wells it's a closed loop system. There's a glycol solution that goes down in the wells and gets to the temperature of the underground water, which is around it, which is about 47 degrees, I think, around here. Now in the winter, that's a big boost, right? We're not grabbing 0 degrees or minus 10 degrees air and trying to heat that up to 65 or 70 degrees. We're starting at 47 Fahrenheit. So that's a big cost savings when you're trying to heat the house. In the summertime, if you have an HVAC or a furnace system with ducts, which we do also, you are bringing up 47 degree water and blowing air across it across an A coil, and that's almost free cooling if you need it in the summertime, which is pretty neat. We are privileged to have this much space to be able to put a ground mount system in. One of the first decisions that anybody who's considering solar has to make is whether it's going to be a rooftop or a ground mount. The majority of people are going to need to do it on a rooftop, and that's fine and great. I was just in Sweden this winter, and those guys have rooftop solar panels on the south and on the east and on the west sides of their house in Stockholm. They are grabbing every little bit of energy they can just to contribute to the grid, which is fantastic. This is a 31 kilowatt array. There's one half of it is right in front of us, and there's another half, again, that big behind it. 31 kilowatts is big, so we didn't realize it was going to be this big when we looked at it on paper. But that provides a ton of electricity, and we haven't had a positive bill since February. So in February, our electrical bill, which runs the whole house, we don't have any gas, our electrical bill was 18 bucks, and this month it was minus $300. So we haven't paid electricity since February. Now it'll be interesting to see when that line crosses again. My bet is sometime late October or November, that bill is going to be back in the positive. But I'm fairly certain we're going to be well into the net negative with this house and this system. One of the lessons that we've learned working with contractor and builders is that a lot of them have their friends and supply chains that they use and things that they're comfortable with, and they may or may not show you something that makes the most sense for a green home right away. And you really need to have your ducks in a row and have done your homework and be ready to hold something in front of them and say, this is what I want, and this is what we're gonna do, okay? That goes for windows, that goes for doors, exterior doors, the insulation in your house, your heating system, and so on. So you really need to be ready, because a lot of them just don't speak this language, and you and I are gonna be doing a lot of educating throughout this green building movement. So a lot of builders and contractors, when you tell them you want triple pane instead of double pane windows, or you want an efficient geothermal heating system instead of some gas furnace, or you want to buy a solar panel array for your house, they're going to look at you and say, okay, what's your payback? As in, when are you going to make back the money that you're spending on that? And my response is, life isn't all dollars and cents. You know, what's your payback for helping an old lady off the sidewalk, or your payback for pulling somebody out of a ditch who slid into the ditch in the wintertime? Your payback is that you feel good for helping somebody out and helping the earth out. And our payback for these investments in a green home is instant, because we're doing something good for the earth and good for future generations.
Do you want to show me the guts of your geothermal like we were talking about?
Let's go take a look.
Okay.
I don't understand how everything works, but one simple thing for you to look at are the lines that come from the geothermal wells and then run under the floor. So we have in-floor heat, which I never appreciated until the year before we built this house. We lived in a rental place, and my wife Susie looked at me and said, and she doesn't like to spend money extravagantly. She is a miser with money and resources. And she looked at me and said, my feet love the in-floor heat. And I said, okay. We built this house on a slab, mostly because a basement is really expensive. And we thought, well, maybe we can live without a basement. I haven't missed it. I hope we don't have a tornado. The slab is fine. So these lines, we set the temperature of the floor at 65 degrees in the winter, and that keeps us pretty comfortable. If I need to bring it up a little bit, I can turn on the air system, which is right here, or light a fire in the fireplace, and that makes for a very comfortable house. But this system is kind of set it and forget it, because it takes a long time to get up to temperature, and then it just uses very little energy just circulating and boosting that liquid that's in the lines. It also gives a boost to our hot water. So the hot water heater doesn't have to work as hard, and that's more efficient and affordable. And
do you have any advice for people looking to do something with their home or business?
I think the first step anybody should probably take is find somebody in your area that has the same interest or that has done some eco-green building, and find out what they've learned and find out what they've done. You can go down a lot of rabbit holes of research on everything from insulation to orientation and heating systems. The Inflation Reduction Act is extremely helpful, and our accountant helped us put our investments into our tax returns, and we got paid back right away, that 30%, on our heating and cooling system and on the solar panel investment. So that's all pretty simple. Easy things for you to do in a house is find out where your leaks are. You can get a little camera, a little thermal camera from your local, probably your local electrical co-op, electricity co-op, and walk around the house and find out where your weak spots are. Do you have thin insulation in some places? We found a couple of spots in the roof, in the ceiling, which had thin insulation, and we got that straightened out with the insulation guy. Around your doors, around your windows. So the envelope of a building is extremely important, right? So that's your starting point. If you are replacing any windows, for sure get triple pane windows. They're often less expensive than a double pane window, depending on where you get them from. Insulation is extremely important. If you're building from scratch, orientation is simple and very rarely considered when somebody builds a home. We are oriented to the south on purpose, and we have windows to the south on purpose. We take advantage of the solar gain in the winter. That helps out a lot. So those are a number of simple things that you can consider when you start building. And beyond that, you can go down plenty of rabbit holes, and there's a lot of really exciting technology coming online right now for people that are interested in building efficient and green homes and taking care of future generations.